أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear viewers, we are back with another stream discussing the truthfulness of the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wassalam. These streams are in English on every Thursday at 12 Eastern. Today, as last week, we talked about the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, and in our stream today we will be discussing again the signs of truthfulness of the Prophet Messiah ﷺ that Allah the Almighty has granted to His prophets whenever they have appeared to strengthen their claim. Among such signs are news of the unseen events that would occur and leave the opponents dumbfounded. The Prophet Messiah ﷺ, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, was blessed with many a revelation about the future events. The philosophies of the prophecies have been discussed in previous programs. In today's program, we'll be discussing allegations concerning the debate challenge and the commentary writing challenge to Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib of Golada. To discuss this topic today, I am joined by two fellow missionaries of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. I welcome them to the program. Atal Wahab Sahib, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And Naveed Mangla Sahib, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah. So in today's program, as I have just mentioned, we would talk about and discuss the challenge of the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam to Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib of Golada in writing the Arabic commentary of the Holy Quran. So there is some background to this, but before we go into a deeper discussion, it is important also to understand who Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib was. And for that, let us go to Naveed Ahmad Mangla Sahib and talk about who he was. Was he just some random person at that time, or was he actually somebody people followed?
Yeah, first of all, Jazakallah for having both of us at the program today. Pir Mehr Ali Shah was not a random person. He was a very well-known person at that time, born in April of 4th, 1859, and later on died in 1937, so almost during the era of the founder of Islam Ahmadiyya, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. He was basically from the Chishti order of Sufism, and he wrote several books. Most notably, he wrote Saf Shishtiyai, which later we will discuss. He wrote obviously against Islam Ahmadiyya, criticizing the book of the promised Messiah, Islam. And they say that he was a Shah, a descendant from his father, Nazaruddin Sahib, from Hazrat Abdul Qadir Jilani Sahib. He was a 25th generation descendant, according to what they believe. And he was also a student of Nazir Hussain Delvi, who was from basically Golra Sharif, a suburb in Islamabad, Pakistan, obviously. And that is where his shrine is today, and that's where he's buried also.
Jazakumullah, Naveed Sahib. So it's clear, Hafiz Sahib, if you want to add something, you can. But it shows that Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib, he had a big following at that time, and he was considered a sort of in Urdu we call Gaddi Nasheen or Sajada Nasheen, that people would come to the shrines where he was present to pay homage or pay respect and to seek blessings. So in that sort of atmosphere, the Prophet Messiah also appears. And what do we know about the early interactions between Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib and Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib? Hafiz Sahib, if you would like to highlight some points on this, and Naveed Mangla Sahib, you can always speak on this topic as well. That what was the earlier interaction of both between these two personalities?
Okay, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. The promised Messiah Islam, when he started his mission, he engaged the Muslim clerics and peers and all those who claim to be um, the recipient of vision or revelation, or they held any kind of authority like peers. He invited them towards his message, and also shared his books and claims with them. And one of them was obviously this Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib. And we find that in the beginning he had a very positive view about the promised Messiah Islam, because later on one of his disciple who became who joined Islam Ahmadiyyat, he mentions that once the promised Messiah Islam was mentioned in front of Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib, and he made this statement that look, there are people, as per the book of Imam Jalaluddin Sahib Suyuti, rahimahullah ta'ala, he states that there are people who excel in the path of Allah the Almighty, and they traverse all the the hurdles of spirituality and become so close to Allah the Almighty that they are like Mahdi and the Messiah, or they are, rather the wordings are that they become Mahdis or Messiah or figures like them. But he added, Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib, that I'm not sure about Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib, if he holds this kind of status or not. However, whatever work he is doing in support of Islam looks like that he has been Taid Yafta by Allah. He has been fully supported by Allah the Almighty. And also he wrote a few cards to the Promised Messiah Islam, which showed that he had a deep respect towards the Promised Messiah Islam. And before the Promised Messiah Islam, he had interaction with Hazrat Maulvi Nuruddin Sahib radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and also Maulvi Abdul Karim Sahib radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And basically, before this contest or this challenge of the Promised Messiah Islam, which was given to him about the writing the commentary of the Holy Quran, there was a book which was written by him named Shamsul Hudaya fi Isbati Hayat al-Masih, in which he claimed that provided arguments about the life of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, that he is still alive. And on that book, Hazrat Maulvi Nuruddin Sahib radiallahu ta'ala anhu raised 11 questions and wrote him back that, look, you have mentioned a couple of books. Have you seen them? Have you checked them yourself? And in response to those questions, he said, actually, this book was not written by me. One of a Maulvi, he wrote this book, and he by himself voluntarily attributed to me. And nowadays he's away. So when he comes back, and then I'm going to confirm from him that whether he himself has reviewed those books that the reference is given or not. So this showed that the
before
book
we go into discussing this book, there is another instance where, as you mentioned, that one of his followers who converted to Islam Ahmadiyyat, that follower has given reference to that instance where they discuss the Prophet ﷺ in light of Brahine Ahmadiyya, that the Prophet ﷺ had written Brahine Ahmadiyya and it was sent to him as well, and he actually appreciated those words. Mangla Sahib, if you remember this incident, that he mentioned that Prophet ﷺ for 4 years he was employed, and he doesn't mention anything negative about him in this interaction. Then he also says that this person has written books against the Hindus as well, and has done debates with the Hindus, and he highlights this aspect that the Prophet Messiah ﷺ, the work that he is doing, and he appears to be a debater in favor of Islam, and that he's a claimant of receiving revelations. But he does not give any sort of like negative impression that the Prophet ﷺ receiving revelation, that is any sort of a difficult thing or is something which is out of the ordinary. So this was
So while this was obviously when he favored the promised Messiah ﷺ, and I was inspired by his work, and later on, as Hafiza mentioned, because of listening to other people, he obviously went against the promised Messiah, Islam. But to quote, he said Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was employed for about 4 years. After that, he left his job and started helping his respected father. At the same time, he continued to study religious books and participate in religious debates. As far as known, his ancestors were Hanafi Muslims, and Mirza Sahib himself followed their footsteps in his early life. In 1879, he published an advertisement that he intended to write a book, Brahine-e-Ahmadiyya, which would consist of 50 volumes, and in which strong and solid rational arguments would be presented in refuting the truthfulness of Islam and other religions. In 1886, Mirza Sahib composed his second book, Suma Chashma Arya, and also debated with the Arya Samajis in Hoshiarpur, thus having gained fame as a commentator on Islam and acclaimed to inspiration. He created a group of devotees around him, which included such renowned advisors as assistants as Hakim Nuruddin Shahi, Nuruddin Sahib, a Shahi physician of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. So this is him writing about the promised Messiah.
Yeah, so this quote is from his book of Mehr Munir. I believe this is biography of Pir Mehr Ali Shah. Hafiz Sahib, now that we know that Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib and Hazrat Masih Maud Islam, the Prophet Islam, had some interactions, and that Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib was before the claims of the Prophet Islam, he had a good view of him, positive view of the Prophet Islam. So, how do we, for example, why does the Prophet Islam invite towards the debate, writing, commentary challenge, and what was the background? Why not just have a oral debate, verbal debate, as it was common in those days, that people would just debate each other? Why the commentary?
Okay, so the promised Messiah Islam, in his book Anjami Atam, written in 1896, had called all these peers and scholars, Muslim scholars, to Mubahala challenge, because they were not refuting his arguments. They were not coming forward to discuss with him this issue of Hazrat Isa Islam's death.
And I think it also had to do with, because they would create disturbances in those debates, and police would get involved, and it would leave a poor impression.
Yeah. So along with that Mubahala challenge, the promised Messiah Islam also mentioned in Anjami Atam that from now onward, I'm not going to have any verbal debate with Muslim scholars or ulamas. And the reason is, as you mentioned, because it would create sometimes law and order situation, and people sometimes lose temperament, and the crowd get out of control. And also keep in mind that the promised Messiah Islam did not have a very large following at that moment, and majority was with the other Muslims. So keeping in view all these things, the promised Messiah Islam had mentioned in Anjami Atam that from now onward, I'm not going to have any kind of a verbal debate. However, we can do in writing. I'll keep on working on books, and also the promised Messiah Islam also mentioned. So before that, let me also state that when this book of Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib, which actually was not his book, written by someone of his follower, Shamsul Hadaya, he had also made this claim that God has given me the deeper knowledge of the Holy Quran, and he has disclosed to me the secrets of the Holy Quran. So then the promised Messiah Islam mentioned to him in response to his claim in 1900, and he said that, look, there are three criteria to judge someone's truthfulness according to the Holy Quran, to find out if someone is a very holy person and a saintly person. And these are, first of all, such people are given miraculous support by Allah the Almighty. Inna lanansuru rusulana walladina amanu ma'ahu fil hayat ad-dunya. And also in other verses of the Holy Quran, we find that Allah inna hizballahi humul ghalibun. So whoever is Allah in support of, so those are the people, they are always victorious. So Allah always grant such people furqan and distinction. So this is one sign that Allah is in their support. And the second is such people are given knowledge and understanding of the Holy Quran. As mentioned in the Holy Quran, La yamussuhu illa al-mutahharun, that those who have been purified by Allah the Almighty are given access to the secrets of the Holy Quran. And the third is the majority of their prayers are accepted. That ud'uni astajib lakum. So these are the three criterias we can judge if Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahab can fulfill all these criterias or not. So instead of even verbal debate, so the best thing could be that he invited then Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib, that we can come to Lahore at a place, whatever you decide, mutually agreed place, and there we, in the presence of a big gathering, we can pick out randomly 40 verses from the Holy Quran and start writing its commentary in 7 hours. And no one should have any book, any kind of a support with him. And then you can pick any 3 judges, even those people who are my opponent, like Muhammad Hassan Batalvi. And after we are done writing the commentary of the Holy Quran, 40 verses, then those 3 judges will have to read out both commentaries, and then people will have to judge, and they can pass the judgment that whose commentary is full of excellence and knowledge and wisdom and eloquent in Arabic language. And if Pir Saab's commentary is comparatively it's the same as mine, even then I would consider myself to be defeated. And this is not all. After receiving defeat, I would do bad at the hand of Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib and withdraw all my charges and even burn down all my books. So this is the best way we can compete and we can contest. And this was the challenge that the Promised Messiah threw at him, because he was also claimant that God is with him, and also God has given him the knowledge of the Holy Quran.
So, Jazakallah, Hafiz Sahib, I think you have very eloquently given the background of why there was a need for like a written debate. The reason being the one that the verbal debates, they do not have a lasting impact. There's, you just present it, and sometimes there's a chaos, and the whole debate is disturbed and no conclusion is there. But in a written format, that work is preserved, it's lasting, and people can benefit from it for a long time. So earlier, you had touched upon this book, Shams-e-Hidayah. So we do have a guest as well, Nasiruddin Sahib. Before we take him on, his camera is on. I think it's okay to have the question, Officer.
Yeah.
Let's ask him. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Nasir Sahib. Sorry, you are on mute. Yes.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am listening your program. So at this point, I don't have any question. I am enjoying. It's a very beautiful program, and I hope a lot of people will know. There's a lot of people don't understand about this prophecy and the conversation which took place between Masih Maud alayhi salam and Mehr Ali Shah Sahab, and they have the misrepresentation to the public. So this would be a very enlightening, I hope, and a lot of people will get benefit out of it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we were talking about this book written by Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib, Shams-e-Hidayah. What is that book? And then you refer to Hakim Maulvi Nuruddin Sahib. He also asked some questions pertaining to that book. So what is the significance of that book? Was it in reply to the Prophet ﷺ's book, or was it something separate from that?
So actually, this book was written to refute the arguments of the Promised Messiah Islam in support of the death of Hazrat Isa Islam. So that's why his full name is Fi Isbati Hayat al-Masih. So he provided some references from certain hadiths. It's the same thing that we find with other nowadays Sunni Muslim people, that they quote certain hadiths that, okay, the Holy Prophet ﷺ has used the word Masih Isa ibn Maryam. So that's why the same person is supposed to come back, not discussing those verses of the Holy Quran which use the word tawaffa. So, and in response to this book, one of the disciple of the Promised Messiah Islam, Hazrat Maulvi Muhammad Hassan Sahib Amrohi, he wrote a book, Shams-e Baziga, and he refuted all those arguments of Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib and sent that book to him.
So
And
sometimes people say that why is the companions of the Prophet ﷺ responding? Why didn't the Prophet ﷺ himself respond? For example, this book written by Amrohi Sahib, Shams-e Baziga, why did he write it and not the Prophet ﷺ himself respond to the book?
Okay, the thing is that the Promised Messiah Islam had already penned so many books, Azala, Oham, and many other books, in which he had already discussed all those verses of the Holy Quran and challenged these ulamas, okay, come forward, and if you prove from Arabic language and all lexicons that this word tawafi can be used in this way or not. So this challenge was already there. So, and coming off or Hazrat Maulvi Muhammad Hassan Amrohi Sahib's response also shows that even the followers of the Promised Messiah Islam were so well versed that they could easily refute these big ulamas and scholars and peers. So they could not even stand with in comparison to the scholars or the disciples of the Promised Messiah Islam.
And I think one other point, sorry, another point was that Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib himself had opened this door that if anybody from the followers of the Mirza Sahib wants to respond, they can also respond. I think this was one of the reasons why Amrohi Sahib and Hazrat Maulvi Nuruddin Sahib also responded to him in different ways. You mentioned the letter of Hazrat Maulvi Nuruddin Sahib to Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib concerning this book, about some references. So is this book written by him or is it written by somebody else?
As I mentioned, it was actually then he withdraw his claim that I am not the author of this book. Rather, another Maulvi Sahib, he wrote this book on his behalf, and then he compiled a few references, provide some resources to him, and that's it. And he said that I'm not the one who has authored this book. Rather, we should differentiate between the word author or publisher or muallif. So this is how he tried to dodge those questions.
Yes.
Can I just, with your permission, I would like to quote what Pir Sahib wrote in response to when Hazrat Maulvi Hakim Nuruddin asked about those references. He said that Maulvi Muhammad Ghazi Sahib has been producing and reviewing books of hadith and tafsir with his knowledge. Maulvi Sahib has now gone to Daulat Khana, meaning he's not here right now, he's away. Maulvi Sahib has published and compiled the book Shamsul Hidayah with his own efforts. Yes, even with this humble one, there was a consensus in some subjects, meaning that he would consult me in some subjects. When Maulvi Sahib returns, he will write about the condition of this book, of the book that we're discussing. So that shows that he himself did not write it, so therefore he did not know how to respond to it.
Yeah, so these arguments were coming. Another person, he wrote it, Muhammad Ghazi Sahib. He was the one who compiled the book, and it is said that it was then given. Either he was a follower of Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib, he attributed to him that he is the one who wrote it. And so from this, let us go further. That how does it end up as that the Promised Messiah ﷺ ran away from the debate? So how do we go from, there's Shams-e Hidayah, and then there is a response of Shams-e Baziga, and Hazrat Maulvi Nuruddin Sahib is discussing with him, and Rohi Sahib is there, they are responding to him. What is the series of events that sort of leads to this thing by the non-Ahmadis that, oh, Mirza Sahib ran away from the debate, and then Fateh Lahore or whatever these titles they give to Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib. How do we end up with that?
So in July 1900, the Promised Messiah Islam challenged Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib for this writing the commentary of 40 verses in public.
And I think Hazur says, sorry, Hazur Prophet is saying that this is inspired by Allah. He puts it in his heart that we should have this competition. I think this was something that actually led to the commentary writing competition.
Yes, obviously, because the whatever the Promised Messiah Islam step he took, he was always inspired by Allah the Almighty. So
in July.
But in 1900, July 1900, he publicly challenged Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib to come to Lahore and to write commentary on the 40 verses. However, Pir Sahib did not respond to them. Rather, he did not. He did respond, but in a way which is very.
Which is accepting without accepting the challenge.
in a very cunning way. And let me read what the wording that he used. Just one second. So basically, he said that, look, the thing is that let's discuss your claim, and we will do debate about your claim being the Promised Messiah Islam. And one of the judge would be Muhammad Hussain Batalvi Sahib, who is a very staunch, opponent of the Promised Messiah Islam. And if he, after listening to both sides of arguments, if Muhammad Hussain Batalvi says that Mirza Sahib's arguments are valid, then I'm ready. Then you have to do my best. Then I'm ready to have a competition of commentary. Prophet ﷺ responded that, look, it does not make any sense. If, first of all, why would Muhammad Hussain Batalvi agree to my claim? Because he is not my follower, or he is not a neutral person. He is rather one of my opponents. Secondly, once I have done bad at your hand, then what's the point of having a contest of writing commentary? It becomes invalid. So there is no point in doing having this contest of writing commentary after I have become your disciple or I have done bad at your hand. So it's a ridiculous response that you are making. And then later on in August 1900, because Maulvi Sahib, Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib was under lots of pressure. His murid, his disciples, followers were, pushing him that, look, why don't you respond to Mirza Sahib's challenge? Let's go. So without responding or accepting this in a clear words, and without even notifying the Promised Messiah Islam, Pir Sahib, along with all his disciples and people, and he comes to Lahore. And
this is late August. So I think he says that he printed some in 22 August. So one of his followers had some pamphlets published, but no direct communication was done with the Prophet ﷺ. No date was fixed. And Pir Sahib then travels to Lahore. I think it's around 23rd, 24th, he gets there. And his own fixed date of 25th August, he sort of like makes the claim that,
without informing the Promised Messiah Islam, and they even admitted that those days, due to holidays, the message could not be sent to Qadian.
I think the communication was difficult to get to the Qadian, and this is the reason they were like, we're not even sure that if the message got to the
Prophet. And he knew that because they wrote that when he was stopping on different stations, he kept on asking that, is there any reply from Qadian that we have received so far? So there was, but Hafiza, please continue. Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
So the thing is that, so these people, all these, the crowd is very excited, and they start, a very hate campaign against very few Ahmadis who are living in Lahore, and even issuing verdicts of killing the Promised Messiah Islam, fatwas that he should be murdered. And so it was a very kind of a toxic environment that he created in Lahore. So even then, the promised Messiah Islam, he again sent a letter or published an announcement while he was in Lahore that, look, if though you didn't accept my challenge of writing commentary, and you want me to come for a verbal debate, and you are very clever person, because if I had accepted your challenge of verbal debate, you would have said that Mirza Sahab, he has gone against his own claim that he said from now onward I'm not going to do verbal debate. And if I didn't accept your debate or verbal challenge of verbal debate, then you would claim that, oh, I'm victorious and Mirza Sahib has run away. So the Prophet ﷺ says that even I am ready to come now to Lahore, have a debate with you, but not a kind of an argument. Rather, we would speak for a couple of hours or minutes. I would speak on my topic, and then you can respond. However, you need to give me guarantee of some very renowned people of Lahore that there would not be any chaotic situation. The law and order would be kept. There would be people would be peaceful. They are not going to harass Ahmadis or you have to provide basically guarantees of our security, and even then I am ready to come at Lahore. And such letters and announcement were not just published out in the which were beyond the notice of Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib. Rather, Ahmadis of Lahore, they tried to approach him, even tried to personally hand over all those letters and publications and notices to him. But most of the time he would refuse. He would not even get
He was turned away by his people,
Yes.
and he was not approachable.
Yes. And then later on, he started saying and advising his followers that, look, you should not read the announcements made by the Mirza Sahib, and you should not read the books of Mirza Sahib, and basically asking his followers not to engage in any kind of a discussion.
Yes, so Hafiz Sahib, this is August, where the Prophet ﷺ had challenged him, and he himself, Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib, ends up in Lahore. And our Jamaat in Lahore, the members of the Lahore Jamaat, they reach out to him, encouraging him to do more debate, to actually accept the writing of the commentary challenge. So when this challenge is done, nothing happens. I'm assuming that August, he then goes back to Golada Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib. He returns. Then there's in December, I believe, that the Prophet ﷺ says that there's sort of an inspiration within him that even though it is not accepted, that within, I believe, 2 months' time or 70 days, I believe, he set out to write a commentary. And he encouraged, or he invited Mehr Ali Shah Sahib as well. So Bangla Sahib or Hafiz Sahib, if either of you who want to comment on this in the December of 1900, which led to the commentary of Surah Fatiha.
Okay, so the Promised Messiah Islam on 15th of December 1900, he announced that from now onward we have 70 days. Remember, previously it was 7 hours, now 70 days. And both of us, because after going back to Rawalpindi and to his place Gurdwara Sharif, all his followers, and they started sending rumors about the defeat of the Promised Messiah Islam. So the Promised Messiah Islam now invited him once again that we have 70 days to write the commentary of Surah Fatiha, and I'm going to write it alone by myself. However, you have full right to get assistance from anyone, any scholar. Even you can invite people from Arab countries, and with their help, you are allowed to write a commentary on Surah Fatiha, and then we will publish it, and we can request some judges, some renowned people, and he proposed few names. Okay, these people can then announce that whose commentary is full of wisdom and new points, new insights, which were not mentioned by previous scholars or other writers, other commentators. And also its language is very eloquent. In eloquent Arabic language it is written. So then the Prophet ﷺ started working on this book. and continuously for 70 days. And it's not only that he was working on this book at that moment, he was also at the same time writing his another book, Tofa Golarviya, as well. So this is another book, The Promised Messiah Islam, in which he has provided all those arguments in support of his claim in detail, and addressing to especially the followers of Golar Sharif, Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib's followers.
Just to add to Hafsat, um, um, obviously this was when the Prophet Messiah made this challenge. He said that we'll give you 70 days to work on it, and he also said that the winner will get 500 rupees. And then he also said that if his tafsir is better, then the promised Messiah is willing to burn all of his books and will give allegiance to Pir Sahib. So this shows the faith that the promised Messiah Islam had in God Almighty, and the revelation that he was receiving from God Almighty regarding this book.
And along with that, the Prophet ﷺ also received this revelation, mana'ahu mani'u min as-samai, that no one can, even if someone tries to respond to this book, to refute the arguments, or to come up with something like that, even if someone tries, then Allah the Almighty is going to stop him. So there is no way anyone can even pick his pen to write or to come up with the challenge of this book. So this was, again, a bold.
This was a very interesting point in this, where Allah the Almighty, after the book is written, the challenge is there for 70 days, and nothing comes forward. There's also this revelation that you have mentioned, that Allah Ta'ala has told him that anybody who wants to respond, he would not be able to do so. So was there actually somebody who wanted to respond to this book and attempted to respond to the book?
So can I attempt this?
Yes, go ahead.
So this ilham of the promised Messiah Islam, and there was another one where the promised Messiah Islam prophesied, فَإِنَّهُ كِتَابٌ لَيْسَ لَهُ جَوَابٌ وَمَنْ قَامَ لِلْجَوَابِ وَتَنَمَّرَ فَسَوْفَ يَرَى أَنَّهُ تَنَدَّمَ وَتَزَمَّرَ. That is, that this is a wonderful book, and whoever sets out to write a response to this book will regret it and will end up with remorse, right? There was a person named Maulvi Muhammad Hassan Fazi, a resident of Musa Been, Tehsil Chakwal district Jhelum, a teacher at Madrasa Nomania located in Shahi Masjid Lahore. He announced to the public that he will write an answer to this. So to answer this, he started writing notes on the book Ijaz al-Masih, and then the book Shams al-Bazgha, which was obviously written by Maulvi Muhammad Asan Sahib Amrohi. In one place in these notes, he also writes, Lanatullah al-Kazibin, curse be of Allah on the liars, on which he died less than a week later, and under the special destiny of God Almighty.
Jazakallah. Yeah, so we have seen that the Prophet ﷺ, he has written this book, Ijaz al-Masih, in Arabic, providing a commentary of Surah Fatiha, which has not been seen before. So this is something new, and without the assistance of any Arab scholars or anything like that, through the inspiration of Allah Ta'ala, he has written the commentary of the Holy Quran, and there has been no response from Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib or anybody else to come forward and respond to this challenge, even though that there are, he himself has said that Allah Ta'ala has given him so much knowledge of the Holy Quran that it cannot be encapsulated, that even if he spent his whole lifetime trying to write what Allah has told him, he could not encapsulate it in a book. Or so on one hand, there is this claim of that he has so much knowledge coming from Allah the Almighty, Allah is revealing to him these ma'arif of the Holy Quran, yet the Prophet ﷺ challenge is there for 70 days to write something, and he's unable to do so. And the person who actually writes something.
That's how it is. It even written in his biography, that is, his disciples used to say that he even has revelations, or everything he's inspired by happens in Arabic, and from Arabic he translated it into Urdu or Persian, right? So everything for him was
So,
Arabic.
according to his followers, he was a great scholar in Arabic. So this was
Yeah.
not somebody who was not well aware of Arabic language or was not, fluent in that language. He was fluent according to his followers. Yet the Prophet ﷺ challenge is there, and he was not able to, respond to that commentary. And if nothing else, it would have been beneficial for all the Muslims if there was another commentary of the Surah Fatiha, and we benefit from understanding new meanings of the Holy Quran, new meanings of Surah Fatiha. So we were deprived as well, that since Allah is telling him all these understanding of the Holy Quran, we are deprived of learning these new ma'arif of the Holy Quran. So going on this line, so this is in 1900, and then 1901, the prophecy is published, the commentary of Surah Fatiha is published. Then all of a sudden, there's about 2 years gap in between, and then this new book of Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib, or another book attributed to Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib, comes on the stage. So what do we know about this book? Was it in Arabic? Was it a response to what the Prophet ﷺ had said? Or was it something totally different than that? Hafiz, if you would like to.
So, so by the grace of Allah the Almighty, the Promised Messiah Islam's book Ijazul Masih, which is as the Promised Messiah Islam calls it, like a miracle, which shows that how Allah had granted him the deeper understanding of the Holy Quran and also the knowledge of Arabic language. Because while he was writing this book, the Promised Messiah Islam states that at times kind of revelation would come, and sometimes I was thinking of a word and they would appear in front of my eyes, and exactly the same word I was looking for. So this is how this was inspired by Allah the Almighty. And about this book, later on when it was sent to some Arab countries like Egypt, some scholars and newspaper wrote review. For example, one newspaper mentioned that this book, in terms of its eloquence of Arabic language and wisdom, is nothing short of a miracle. So whatever its name, Ijaz al-Masih, was literally, it was an Ijaz, or the miracle of the Promised Messiah Islam. So now the Promised Messiah Islam was waiting for some kind of a response from Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib, and Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib was also under pressure from his followers that, look, why don't you respond? Why don't you write a commentary like Mirza Sahib? Now Pir Sahib had to, for the face saving, he had to do something. Now he writes a book and send it to the Promised Messiah Islam, but to his great surprise, the book is in Urdu, first of all. And there is no commentary of Surah Fatiha. Rather, there are only certain objections raised on Ijaz al-Masih that, look, there are 4 or 5 sentences which have been copied from other literary works like Hariri and some other earlier Muslim scholars. And the Prophet ﷺ then responded to that, look, it is obvious, because whenever we are using any kind of a language, we borrow certain idioms and phrases from the language which has been in use by scholars and literary workers. So they coincidentally, sometimes we borrow the same phrases, but you cannot call it a plagiarism. You cannot call it that we are copying this stuff and we are not attributing to them. And this is common practice. Even we can find in all good works that sometimes a writer has borrowed a certain phrase which is used by another writer also. So even then the Promised Messiah Islam refuted all his arguments. But look at the irony that, look, the charges, the allegation he was raising against the Promised Messiah Islam, and about just few sentences of this book, actually he himself had done exactly the same thing. He had plagiarized the whole book and attributed to him which was not written by him. But before coming to this point, let me also quote one of his saying at the start of this book, which name is Safed Chishtiyai. In the beginning, which is kind of announcement at the head page of this book, he says in Urdu that I don't, because I'm living a life away from the public's eyesight, I don't want to come into the highlight So that's why I am not interested in any kind of writing work. He says तसनीफ मुझे कोई तसनीफ और तालीफ का शौक नहीं, क्योंकि ये अमूर या तो बगर्ज़ शोहरत व नाम आवरी या बगर्ज़ दौलत किए जाते हैं. He says that I'm not interested in writing things because people do it to gain fame or to make wealth. So this is how he is looking at this, noble job of writing books in support of Islam. Or all those commentators, he's also, bringing allegation against all those commentators, earlier scholars. They were not doing it for fame. They were not doing it for making money. Rather, they were, all those earlier Muslim scholars, they were doing it in the service of Islam and their faith. And this is how the Prophet Muhammad was also writing books. And then later on, it is also figured out that the book or response that he wrote as Safi Chishtiai was not actually his book. It was rather it was comprised of the notes written by Muhammad Hassan Fazi Sahib, as Mangla Sahib mentioned about him, who wanted to write a response, but he passed away. And when his belongings were sent back to his parents' home in Golra Sharif, so actually someone who was looking for his place ended up at another disciple of his of Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib, Shahabuddin Sahib, and he wrote actually the person was looking for his Hassan Fazi Sahib's parents' home, and he was carrying the books of one book of the Prophet Sallallahu Ijazul Masih, and also Hassan Amrohi Sahib's book Shams-e Bazgha in his hand. And so that Shahabuddin Sahib asked him that, can you show me those books? So when he opened those two books, he checked all those notes written on these two books were exactly the same thing which is mentioned in Safi Chishtiai. So it was literally a copy of the notes written by Muhammad Hassan Fazi Sahib. So, and Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib did not even have the courage to write in the beginning that, look, this is not my work, this is someone else did all this great job, but somehow he has passed away. And this is how he tried to avoid later on, that, look, the person had passed away, and he had asked me in one letter that he wrote to someone, he mentioned that because the Muhammad Hassan Fazi Sahib had asked me that you can publish this book under my name. Then the Prophet ﷺ responded that, look, this it does not again make sense. You should have at least give credit to the person. And this is how maybe his widow could earn some money to get some, because by the publication of that money. And you wrote you copied the whole thing from his notes and then published under your name and never crediting him for that, and even taking away with all the money and depriving the widow of that person even from little support that she could get. So all these things show that you are a hypocrite, and whatever you are doing is just a hypocrisy. And this also fulfill the prophecy of the Prophet Sallallahu Inni muhinun man arada ihanatak. So he wanted to humiliate the Prophet Sallallahu, and by spreading rumors against him, false accusations, and eventually he himself has to suffer disgrace and humiliation, public humiliation, because many of his followers even left him, and many of his followers, interestingly, joined the Prophet Sallallahu and his community, and by doing bad at his hand.
I think the Prophet Muhammad mentions that about 1,000 people joined the Prophet Muhammad after when this all happened. For our viewers that are tuning in, this might be too many of events to follow. With your permissions, Asaf, if I can just do a recap of all those things that took place. First of all, the Prophet Muhammad invited Pir Sahib to Mubayala, which Pir Sahib did not accept. Then Pir Sahib wrote a book, Shamsul Hidayah, against the Promised Messiah, which was later proven to have been written by his disciple, Maulvi Muhammad Ghazi Sahib. Then the Promised Messiah challenged Pir Sahib to write a commentary in return, but Pir Sahib did not have the courage to write a commentary. Then the promised Messiah ﷺ challenged Pir Sahib to write a 4-volume commentary on Surah Fatiha in Arabic in 70 days, but Pir Sahib did not have the courage to write any commentary within that period. And then as Masih Maud ended up writing Ijazul Masih himself. And then finally, Pir Sahib made unnecessary criticism and baseless objections to the promised Messiah in his book, against his book Ijazul Masih, and the book that Maulvi Muhammad Asim Sahib wrote, Shams-e-Bazga, and published a book in Urdu titled Safish Ishtiyai, attributed to him, which obviously later on was proven to be plagiarized and wasn't written by him, right? This is where, with your permission, if I can speak about the Karamdeen incident, right? Because this is also related. So Karamdeen was the person that originally wrote to Promised Messiah Islam that I've seen this being plagiarized. I'm witness to it. Then later on, he refused that I was only writing it as a joke, and Pir Sahib didn't steal anything from anyone for his book Safed Ishtiyai. The Promised Messiah Islam writes in his book Muwaib Rahman that he's cursed and he's a liar, that he's taking this something that's so important to be so lightly. Karamdeen took the Promised Messiah Islam to the court for defaming him. When the Promised Messiah Islam went to jail him for the court cases, many people were lined up to see him, and this is every station that the Promised Messiah Islam stopped at. So many people were willing to see him because of the fame that he has now received after this whole incident with Pir Sahib. And this is where I mentioned that about it's written that about 1,000 people entered Islam Ahmadiyyat at that time. From then, the case was transferred to Gurdaspur for 2 years, and then 2 Hindu magistrates were looking after the case. They were told by Hindus that he should not be spared, as he was the person that killed Lekram. And this incident I really wanted to mention because when we were studying this, I myself was very much inspired by this. That a person came and said that Promised Messiah Islam, they want to the 2 Hindu magistrates, they want to make you a target. The Promised Messiah said that do these people consider me a prey? I am not a prey. I'm a lion of God. And if anyone lays a hand on the lion of God, look at it. Then after remaining silent for a while, he said, what should I do? I have asked God many times that I'm ready to wear iron rings on my hands for the sake of your religion, meaning I am willing to go to prison if this is your desire. But he keeps telling me that no, I will never let that happen. I'm standing in your protection and no one can lay a hand on you. So this shows that the faith that the Promised Messiah Islam had in his claim, and obviously the support of God Almighty.
Hafiz Sahib, I think in today's program we have discussed in depth about Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib and the false accusation on the Prophet ﷺ that he did not come forward to debate him in Lahore. And those who are sincere of heart, I think it becomes very clear to them that the Prophet ﷺ was sincere in his efforts to teach the message of Islam and to expand on the knowledge of the Holy Quran, and was sincere in his claim of the Prophet Messiah, and to discuss with anybody with civility about the truthfulness of his claim. And he gave every opportunity to the opponents to come forward and to challenge him in those claims. But unfortunately, the opponents, though they claimed that if they gave any attention to their pens, the pens would themselves start writing, and it was sufficient for them that just mere through their consciousness they could force the pen to write the commentaries. As such, revelations were coming to them from Allah, that they were being so inspired by Allah that they could write books and they would not be able to do anything else, that they knew so much of the Holy Quran. But despite all these tall claims, none of them actually came forward and wrote a response to the book, fulfilling Allah Ta'ala's promises in many different revelations. One, that Allah Ta'ala has put a stop on anybody who would want to write it. He would not be able to respond. And about Ijaz al-Masih, that this is such a wonderful book that nobody would be able to answer it. And Inni Muhin man arada ihanataka is also there, that Allah Ta'ala would disgrace anybody who would want to disgrace the Prophet ﷺ. So as we are coming to the end of our program, Hafiz Sahib, is there something you would like to share and before we end our program?
So is the Prophet ﷺ, in his challenge, he asked them, he invited Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib for 70 days. It's not just 70 days, 70 weeks, 70 months. It's been more than 70 years. But none of his followers, no one else has responded to this challenge of the Prophet ﷺ. And his book, Ijaz al-Masih, is already published. It's in, if you can show, maybe share your screen, it's volume 18 of Ruhani Khazain. It's available online in Arabic and along with, yes, Jazakallah, with the Persian translation. And people can read it and compare it with the book written by Pir Mehr Ali Shah Sahib and see who is speaking from the knowledge given by Allah the Almighty and whose work is inspirational and who is unearthing new pearls and gems of the Holy Quran's wisdom. And all these, as the Prophet ﷺ had mentioned, that these are the criteria to judge someone's truthfulness. Because this is what the Holy Quran says, La yamussuhu illa al-mutahharun, and this is what Allah says, that Allah inna hizballahimul ghalibun. It is my party, my people, holy ones. They are the ones who are going to be victorious. And anyone who comes forward to face them, to challenge them, man aadali walijan faqad azantuhu lil harb. That anyone who comes forward to fight against my wali, my humble ones, then I am going to fight on behalf, as if I have announced a battle or a war against such people. And they are actually fighting against Allah the Almighty, not against the Prophet ﷺ or his community. So we would urge our viewers that they should look at the book, study it, read it, and try to understand it, and then compare it. And you can find out what is truth and what is falsehood.
Jazakumullah ta'ala, asal jazakumullah. Thank you to all the viewers.
Also, the Holy Prophet ﷺ had mentioned about the Prophet ﷺ that he would distribute wealth amongst the people, but people would refuse to take it. And this is the wealth of the Holy Quran's wisdom that the Prophet ﷺ distributed. And one of this book, Ijaz al-Masih, is also an example of this distribution of wealth, divine wealth.
Jazakallah. Jazakallah, viewers, for tuning in for another program of Ask Islam. Every Thursday at 12 Eastern, we have this program. I want you to thank the presenters today, Naveed Mangla Sahib, Ataul Wahab Sahib, for joining me for this program. I hope it was knowledgeable for all the viewers. Jazakumullah ta'ala, asam jaza. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.